Does marriage and kids extinguish genuine burning desire as the guy is now trapped? No. Again, it all depends on the people that are involved. And she has everything she wants: financial security and the kids. Yeah, but not every chick like gets into a relationship and just says, you know what, the pussy's closed. Closed for the duration. All right. If that was the case, you would never have brothers and sisters. Okay. So I just want to point out that, yeah, some couples actually can get to sort of past the like my wife and I are empty nesters. We've been empty nesters for quite some time now, and we still enjoy each other physically as much as possible. Right. Well, at least I certainly do. But the short answer is it possible? Yes. The long answer is it something that's tenable these days for most people? No, it's not. And the reason why I wanted to sort of use this as today's topic is because I was just sort of getting into it with, I think it was Gia McCool and I think Rachel Wilson, who is Andrew Wilson's wife. I don't know if they planned this. I think they know each other. Do you guys know each other? But the topic du jour on Twitter over this last week was, should Christian wives like be beholden to duty sex? And duty sex is something that I near and dear to my heart, because I've had this conversation with Pat Campbell so many times that it was kind of refreshing to sort of come back to it again, because it never gets old, because the outrage never gets old. The question, of course, isn't so much about genuine burning desire. It's more about obligation to sex. Is a husband owed sex from his wife? And if you're, again, this sort of, you get into sort of biblical convictions and you get into moral sort of dilemmas and all of this. And really I love watching this because you get to see the moralist ladies like auxiliary club sort of twist in the wind about stuff like this, because they don't want to say that you have to like spread your legs and give it up at the drop of a hat, stop and drop kind of thing. Well, looks like I'm hard. Okay, it's your biblical duty to take care of business here, sister. So get started. I think that when we combine the sort of concepts of like some like biblical submission, in marriage and submit. Well, what does submission really mean? Like we suddenly turn into Jordan B. Peterson, right? What do you mean by submission? And I really hate that term submission. I realize it's a biblical term. Got it. Okay. But I think it's for lack of a better term. I like the term deference, because even that, you know why? Because that agitates more. I think that women having deference to their husband's authority, if you put it in those terms, I wonder if women would even bother to get married at that point. If you said, you know what, you are beholden to your husband's authority. You are to be deferential to his authority. His word is law. Like Aku from Samurai Jack. Well, my rule is law. You're not married to Aku. Before the final blow was struck, I tore open a portal in time and flung him into the future. Well, my rule is law. Ladies, you are not Samurai Jack in the far future. Yeah. God, that was a great series. So anyways, I digress. No, I think that when you use terms like submission and you use terms like in favor of like deferential authority, because that's really what it's about. It's about, do you trust? See, this is the thing, is I think that a lot of churchy women don't really consider this, because they think that they're the primary in the relationship to begin with. And I think that a lot of women who go into marriage go in either they want to sell themselves on the idea that it's an egalitarian marriage, and they're going to try to do a Christian marriage, but it's really an egalitarian marriage. And we all know who wears the pants, and we all know who's making the decisions at the end of the day, and who's buying the fucking Dockers and the soap and the fucking, shoe, the loafers and everything else. It's the women that are doing it. They're going to Bed Bath and Beyond, right? But I think that, like, a lot of, especially women who are online right now, who want to say, oh yeah, I submit to my husband all the time. I'm like, well, if you were submitting to your husband and he said, you know what, I don't want you to be on the fucking internet anymore, I don't want you as a personality on whatever podcast. I don't want you as a personality on Twitter. I don't want you as a personality on Instagram or whatever else anymore. Would you defer to his authority and just basically delete everything? Now, I'm not saying that he should do that. I'm just saying, if that were a possibility, hypothetically, would you do that? I think a lot of women would chomp at the bit because they want that attention. There's a certain amount of attention that comes along with this, even if it's vicarious, you know? So, but again, I think that when women go into marriage, specifically if it's like sort of this moralistic sort of like, oh, I want to get right with God kind of marriage, there's this preconception that they're going in and they are really the primary, but they're pretending that they're not the primary. Well, I'll submit to his authority if he's a worthy man, and he has to be worthy of it. And I have written about this quite extensively in my fourth book, which is The Rational Male Religion. And in there, I have a sort of a diagram where I've explained this sort of like hierarchy here of how things used to be as far as marriage was concerned and how things really kind of are right now. And I frame it in terms of biblical marriage, but you could use the same dynamic for a Jewish marriage, for a Muslim marriage, for Hindu, a Sikh marriage, name the religion, because in all marriages, by the way, no matter what the culture, no matter what the religion, there's still a man and a woman in it. In a heterosexual marriage, there's a man and a woman. And even in a homosexual marriage, there's a top and a bottom. Okay, there's a masculine and a feminine in even if you're homosexual, one of you is the top, one of you is the bottom, one of you's pitching, one of you's catching. Okay, so there's always going to be a masculine and a feminine, even in homosexual relationships. So we can put that one to rest right now and say that there's no such thing as an egalitarian marriage. There's no such thing as an egalitarian relationship. It's always about power dynamics. And I forget who said this, but it was, everything is about sex except for sex. Sex is about power. Well, guess what happens when your relationship is sort of defined by power dynamics? This is where it comes from. So if you're not a worthy man, and by the way, that can be as subjective and as ambiguous and as just relative as a woman can possibly make it, or interpret a particular scripture about it. I don't care what. Again, I'm picking on Christians today, but like also I'm also looking at some other ones too. If you are in that situation, if you are in a quote unquote biblical marriage and you are not deferential, at least to your husband's authority, you're not in a marriage. You're not in egalitarian marriages. Don't exist in the confines of most religions, right? There's the man and there's the woman. One is the top, one is the bottom, one has the power, one does not. One is the submissive, one is the driver, and one is the passenger. And if you're unwilling to do that, ladies, don't fucking get married. I will emphatically say that. Right? You guys already know what my position is on modern marriage and the institution of marriage, and I probably will have to re-explain that to everyone here in this particular episode. But if you are not ready to completely submit to his authority, to that man's authority, regardless of what his job is, irrespective. That's why we have traditional marriage vows, right? In sickness and in health, for richer and for poorer, till death do us part. What else is in there? To forsaking all others, to love, cherish, and obey. For richer and for poor. Like, women chomp at the bit at that. What do you mean poor? You mean we could be poorer than we are right now? Holy, I don't want to. Who is this motherfucker? And now go and throw in the prerequisite of, you got to spread your legs for this guy whenever the mood strikes, whenever the spirit moves him, whether you want to or not. Remember, that's why I threw in that video with Jordan Peterson. Like, I mean, this is really what he was. Let me see if I can pull that up here again. This is really what he was going on about in the intro video here. The sexy time video.
Once a week, you better have your romantic interlude. And you might say, well, I'm not in the mood. It's like, get in the goddamn mood.
Yeah, the reason I throw this in there is because this rubs women very. It's like petting a cat the wrong way, right? It rubs women the wrong fucking way. Because if I don't feel like fucking this guy, I don't want to fuck this guy. I shouldn't have to fuck this guy. It's this side of marital grape, right? In fact, there's a lot of talk right now, especially even within Christian cultures. Let's just say that does that constitute marital GRAPE, EPAR? Can't even say it. Forced sexual copulation. Maybe that's how we should describe this, right? Because if I'm not in the mood and I don't want it and she's not enthusiastic about it, if he doesn't make her feel like she should be deferring to his authority and she doesn't feel like she wants to spread her legs for this guy or just like have hot monkey sex with him, then she shouldn't have to do that, right? Well, sorry, ladies, but if you are an adherent to the holy scriptures of whatever religion you happen to be, by the way, it's not just, like I said, it's not just biblical, then you are in direct violation of your professed convictions. So what are you going to do about it? Well, we're going to try to find ways we're going to try for these little sort of these loopholes, right? These end arounds.
I mean it. Like, it's like, I don't really feel like it. It's like, yeah, no kidding. Because you're tired and the kids are noisy and, what's your point? Like, get your act together and get at it, and
get at it.
Figure out how to get yourself prepared.
Get after it.
Prepared for it. And it's part of your duty.
Okay. This is where women lose their fucking minds.
But more than that, it's like, why would you want to lose that? How many things in your life are genuinely like revitalizing?
Okay. So now what Jordan Peterson is going to do is he's going to try to rationalize ladies into bed. And in the history of mankind, no man has ever reasoned a woman into bed. Okay. I don't care what you think. No one's ever taken an Excel spreadsheet and said, here, honey, here are 684 reasons why you should be fucking me right now. Oh, well, fuck, let me strip now. Let's go. So by the way, this is what gamma males do. Thank you, Vox Day, for gamma males. The gamma males are the bean counters, right? And it's like everything should follow a rational progression. The same thing is, this is also why he thinks that negotiating desire is negotiation in a relationship, especially if you say you're wrong, is some sort of key to actually getting sexy time or whatever the fuck this is, right? And so I wanted to point this out because you got to remember who it's coming from. This is a guy who essentially asked his wife to marry him 3 times. He was 7 years old when he met her and was convinced he was going to marry her. And then she finally gets out of like a 2 or 3 year relationship with some guy she's living with. And then, oh, well, I got nothing better going, so I think I'll accept his marriage proposal this time. Okay? So that's the guy who's telling you to negotiate. This is the guy who's telling you how it's your duty, ladies, to be fucking your husband, right? And a lot of guys even men have a problem with this.
Like romance, beauty, music. There's a handful of things, but that's definitely one of them. You don't want to lose that.
But you see, everything he's just talked about, romance, beauty, blah, 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 all that's spontaneous, man. That's not something that's planned. That's not date night. I love that shit. Date night. Hey, you gotta keep the magic alive, man. You gotta keep the fire burning, man. What do you do to keep things fresh, Rolo? I fuck my wife because she wants to fuck me. That's how you do it, man. It's awesome. What, you don't go and like reserve the what is it, the honeymoon suite at the top of the Wynn or something like that, and sprinkle fucking rose petals all over the fucking bed and everything, and just put a bubble bath in the fucking the jet tub. No, I don't. No, I never have, and I probably never will, because that's contrived. It's like that girl who was in the other video talking about how I want a guy to bring me flowers, but I don't want to ask him to bring me flowers. I want him to know to bring me flowers. You know how I know that I'm going to have great sex with my wife tonight is because I know I'm going to have great sex with my wife tonight, because I know what works. I know I understand the dynamics here. I understand who's a primary. I understand who's authority. I understand the deference. I understand the power dynamics. And I also understand that it's spontaneous. It's like, I love how like everybody like wants to say, well, men have to keep the romance. It's like your responsibility. Yeah, this is actually my Valentine's Day speech, but sorry, but like it's your responsibility to keep things from. Why is it men's responsibility for fucking romance? Why am I responsible for meeting her needs instead of the other way around? If I'm the one that's supposed to be deferred to authority wise and everything, why do my needs not come first? Well, I had to divorce my wife. Why? She wasn't meeting my needs. Who the fuck are you? I'm the husband. Get the fuck out of here. Like, what church is going to back you up for that divorce, man? Nobody. But you take that and you turn it around and you put the inverse. Well, I had to divorce my husband. Why? Well, he wasn't meeting my needs. Oh, and he might have had a porn addiction too. Oh, well, it's okay, girl. We have a support group for you. You know, we have a battered wife. Well, I wasn't battered. Oh, it's okay. We just say you were. But I love this part though. Like, let me pull him out of here. Yeah. Oh, I already got to you. Wait a minute. That's not what I was looking at. No, I mean, as far as like, if the guy is ladies, if you're submitting, like, if I'm in a biblical marriage, okay, are you submitting to your husband? Yes, I submit to him. Yeah, duty sex. Yes, it's my duty to fuck him whenever he feels like it. I gotta keep his drained and his stomach full, right? And I'm like, okay, great. Then why are you talking about your needs? Where do your needs come into any of this, right? If he's the primary and he's the one, like, should he love you? Should he reciprocate? Yes, I'm not saying that at all, but like, I'm just saying like the innate sort of subconscious sort of, I don't know, silent contract of all of this, right? Which is if he's the one you're supposed to be deferential to, why are you yammering on about your needs, right? I mean, like, no guy goes, no dude is going, I'm not getting my needs met. Well, what are your needs? To get a blow every other day. Okay, well, I guess that's not happening, right? Well, what happens then is, like, you've got the entire institution of a marriage that's saying, well, if mama ain't happy, God ain't happy. And so if she's not fucking you, well, it's got to be you're not meeting her needs, right? Well, if she's not fucking you and she's not happy with you, it means that God's not happy with you too. So I love that you want a real mind fuck. It's your wife's happiness or your wife's unhappiness is God's unhappiness. You start in on that kind of like that cascade effect. You please get divorced. I'll tell you right now, just go get divorced.